Hello, folks, and welcome to Film Spectacle, where I talk movies and politics. And if I sound a little funny today, it's because I'm fresh out of the dental surgeon because I cracked a tooth on a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Life comes at you fast, folks. Anyways, we've all seen this movie, and if you haven't by now for some ungodly reason, you at least surely know the cultural phenomenon that is The Matrix. Made in 1999, this film blew audiences' minds with groundbreaking visual effects and cinematography, kick-ass action sequences, black leather, and super cool sunglasses, all done in a new, unique science fiction landscape. And though it didn't impress the critics too much, The Matrix was both a box office success and a favorite when it hit the video rental market. And trust me, you could not escape this movie. The non-stop references in the media, video game, and comic book spin-offs, classmates dressing in leather dusters, the commercialization of it all in retail stores and fast food chains, all leading to the release of two more highly anticipated films to round out the trilogy, and nearly 20 years later, a fourth film was added to make it a cash grab. Saga. But beyond the box office success, the original Matrix gave us an image so powerful, so vivid yet simple, one little red pill, that made this movie transcend the spectacle and had people all over the world questioning their own reality. But how did this visual of a red pill turn into part of our vernacular? And further, how did red pilling become what it is characterized as today? Follow me down this rabbit hole and let's find out. The Matrix stars Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, Carrie-Anne Moss, Joe Pantoliano, and Hugo Weaving. It's written and directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski, then credited as the Wachowski brothers. It's a classic hero journey setup, where we meet Neo, living in a cocooned, comfortable, and boring reality of computer programming. And when he's given the ultimate choice to stay within this cozy cocoon in the Matrix with a blue pill, or to leave it by taking a little red pill, Neo takes the red pill and is transported outside of the Matrix and into the real world for the first time. A world that is run and controlled by evil machines that have enslaved humans and used them solely as energy sources. Neo's entire reality was a lie, and waking up to this reality is brutal, but thankfully he's comforted by a ragtag group of human rebels, fellow refugees of the Matrix, all following one fierce leader, Morpheus. But now that Neo is out of the Matrix and Morpheus is convinced he's the one who has been prophesized to bring down the machines and to save humanity, agents of the system are sent out in full force to prevent Neo and the team of rebels from ever uprising against the machines. So how did the red pill go from a plot device in this 1999 film to now being thrown around as some far right-wing conspiracy theory? According to modern media, red pilling is all misogynistic, anti-Semitic, white supremacist, and every other typical smear they use to discredit something. But this association didn't happen overnight, and that's where we need to look a little deeper. After the release of the Matrix trilogy, the first known use of the term red pill as a political metaphor came from an article in 2006 by Kathleen J Tierney, a professor of sociology at the University of Colorado, Boulder. This article is a scathing critique of the very right-wing George W. Bush administration. Tierney argues that taking the red pill is acknowledging the failures of our government in both our disaster management and FEMA response to Hurricane Katrina, but also our hawkish military response to 9/11 in invading Iraq, and domestically, the formation of Homeland Security. Tierney concludes that our government across both parties used these national emergencies for political and financial gain, while at the same time making our country less safe in nearly every way. It's a really great article, and I encourage all of you to take a few minutes to read it for yourselves. I'll link it in the description box below. As you can see, regardless of Tierney's personal political preferences, this well thought out criticism she is providing and the use of the term red pill is calling out the George W. Bush administration from the left. Now let's jump forward and look into another use of the term. In 2017, a documentary came out called The Red Pill that was immediately painted by the media as right-wing and extremist. When looking deeper, however, it's produced and directed by Cassie J, a former Hollywood actress actress turned documentary filmmaker after some negative experiences within the industry. Cassie is open up front in the documentary that she has always identified as a feminist and that she's worked on a number of projects about women's rights, which ultimately led her to making this documentary about red pilling and the men's rights movement. And here's where it gets called right wing, because this film follows men's rights activists, a community originally formed online that uses the term red pill to challenge feminist narratives, and the fact that some right wing individuals donated to the Kickstarter campaign for the movie. So this guilt by association is used to smear Jay's documentary as some fringe right wing content. And to this day, men's rights activists are still smeared by the media as this he-man woman hater club, even though all it takes is to listen to them to know that that's not what they are. But I encourage all of you to watch this film for yourselves and make your own decision. It's currently available on YouTube to watch and truly worth your time, especially if you call yourself a feminist. So I'll be linking it below as well. Cassie J takes the red pill and takes us down the rabbit hole of feminism, and after hearing from men's rights activists around the country themselves and listening to their very real struggles that are drowned out and mischaracterized by feminists and the media alike, she rejects her feminist label altogether by the end of her journey. Further, the documentary points out some severe flaws within feminism, such as glaring double standards with military drafts and prison sentences, the fact that men die at higher rates of suicide and work-related deaths, and how the rates of prostate and breast cancer are nearly the same, but only one gets massive media attention and fundraising efforts. But what's most interesting is the way this documentary explores second-wave feminism. Second-wave feminism coincided at a time when tensions were boiling over in this country, in the late 60s and into the 70s. There was a massive anti-war movement for the Vietnam War going on, and then there was the Poor People's Campaign, initially led by Martin Luther King Jr. until his assassination, but continued still in fighting for economic rights for all Americans. Two massive movements fighting against imperialism and, more importantly, capitalism. Then along came these second-wave feminists who redirected the entire conversation towards blaming the patriarchy instead. So instead of joining forces with this very diverse anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist movements happening around the same time to demand policies that would benefit both genders, like public housing, higher minimum wage, healthcare for all, and fighting for an overall more safe, peaceful, and prosperous world, these second-wave feminists chose to sow division and laser focus the fight for policies that would primarily benefit women instead, like reproductive rights and the right for every woman to become a capitalist the same as any man can. Yes, queen. Feminists projecting blame onto men for the failures of capitalism while branding and making entire careers around trademark feminism, and then they write deep think pieces in their feminist magazines wondering why so many men are depressed, angry, and lonely. But this brings me to the only itty-bitty detail that Cassie J's Red Pill documentary leaves out, and that is the fact that a very prominent feminist icon and leader of second-wave feminism, Gloria Steinem, has connections to the CIA. Steinem admitted in multiple interviews that she worked full-time for the Independent Research Service from 1958 to 62, which was largely backed by the CIA. She was quoted as saying that she found the CIA was completely different than its image. It was liberal, nonviolent, and honorable. LOL. Okay, Gloria. So after leaving this CIA shell company, Steinem then became a columnist at the New York Times, co-founded Ms. Magazine, and put herself right in the center of second-wave feminism. But sure, you can make an argument that her time working with the CIA the years prior had no direct impact on the work that Steinem did in the feminist movement and her career. Sure. Maybe it's just a coincidence that second-wave feminism kneecapped anti-capitalist momentum that then shifted the national conversation towards dividing the genders instead. That's certainly possible, but let's take the red pill here. Connect some more dots and realize that the CIA consistently uses divide and conquer as a tactic on our American populace to keep us from ever coming together to overthrow our current system. Just like in The Matrix, where the machines send out an army of Mr. Smiths to protect their system at all costs, the American empire and their narrative managers spend massive amounts of time, energy, and resources keeping us distracted, divided, and at each other's throats at all times. Feminism versus patriarchy, Democrats versus Republicans, red versus blue, black versus white, all to keep us from the real conversation that we are all oppressed in this current capitalist system, enslaved by low wages and an unbearably high cost of living, shackled in debt, and viewed by the ruling class as numbers on a page instead of human beings with needs, wants, and worth beyond our labor. Our politicians have sold us out for more zeros in their bank accounts, and we are being farmed, harvested, and sold for our data. And now, many of us are seen as entirely replaceable because of AI, which ironically needs human data for its programming. We are being oppressed by something so cold and mechanical that it's called a political machine for this very reason. And all of this is why my love for The Matrix stops at the end of the first movie. Neo tells the machines that he will free all of humanity from their enslavement and flies off into the skies to do no such thing in any of the Matrix sequels. He's set up as a hero character like Luke Skywalker, only to make a truce with the oppressor in the end instead of defeating them. The Wachowskis set up a brilliant universe with intriguing characters and could have carried that through the whole trilogy, with Neo becoming a true revolutionary that, with the help of his badass comrades, overthrows the machines in the end in a heroic underdog fashion. Instead, they chose the deconstructionist and philosophical route, turning Neo into a religious symbol, going against the classic hero trajectory that they set up so well in the first film. I'm truly dumbfounded why they took these films in the direction they did, but oh well. I'll just keep rewatching this perfect 1999 film instead, and that's fine by me. Anyways, before I end this, I want to leave one more red pill for all of you today, and the choice is entirely up to you on whether you take it or not. But just in the same way that you have been manipulated and lied to about the term red pilling being framed as this alt-right conspiracy theory, you have also been programmed to hate other words and phrases too, like leftism, socialism, communism, woke. And even mentioning the words China and Russia may trigger an automatic response of anger in some of you. And all of this is by design, a tactic of warfare to keep us fighting each other instead of fighting the class war that is being waged on us all. And through the course of this channel, I'll be tackling these subjects further in the hopes that you'll follow me down this very dark and never-ending rabbit hole. So like and subscribe if you want to follow along. That's all for today, folks. And thanks for listening.